All members, if you'll please come to the floor. All members. All members, if you'll come to the floor, the hour for convening having arrived. All members, please come to the floor and take your seats. Mr. Clerk, will you ring the bell? All members, all members, you can come to the floor. All members. We're going to have the morning roll call. We're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? All members voted that you're present. All members voted. If so, the clerk will. Got one on the way. All members voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machines? Doorkeepers, please close the doors and keep them closed. As is our custom, we will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by our chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 9th House District, Representative Wade. Representative Wade.
Thank you, Speaker. Colleagues, I'm very thankful and blessed to be here today to introduce our chaplain of the day, a friend of mine, a farmer, a father, and actually he was taught by my dad in middle school, and so was his wife, so he's been a long-time family friend. And I want to make sure my friend from the 168th doesn't get confused, because this gentleman is the pastor at Liberty Baptist Church, but it's in Dawsonville, Georgia. And we're very thankful to have our pastor of the day, my friend, Jason Hamby.
Glad to have you.
Good to be with you. Thank you. Thank you, Representative Wade, Speaker Burns, and to each member of the House. Thank you so much for the leadership that you do for this great state of Georgia. We consider it quite an honor to be able to stand before you today to share with you from God's holy word for just a moment. I'm told 5 minutes, so that's what we'll try our best to go with. Through much prayer, we've sought the scripture for the day. And as seeking this scripture for the day, our mind and heart went back 3,000 years ago to a young man by the name of David. He was chosen by God to be the king of Israel. David, his life started out as a young shepherd, much like so many young boys in Israel at the time. He was taught to be a shepherd. He was taught to take care of the sheep, to take care of the flock. As he grew, he saw the sheep in peril. He saw them in need, and he worked to overcome those needs. In due time, there was a prophet by the name of Samuel that anointed him to be the next king over Israel. Soon he became a leader of the troops of Israel. And in due time, as a man, he became the king of Israel. It was much later in his life that he said, and he wrote back and he reflected on his life, how that although he had been a leader, he was always led. And he wrote the 23rd Psalm, which I'd like to read to you today. Very familiar. I know King David wrote, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over." And he concluded by saying, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." King David, although rising to a king and although being considered such a great leader, by the time he looked back at his own life and he reflected at the things that had happened to him and had happened through him, he considered himself one of the flock. I look out this morning at many, many great leaders. I look at you and I desire to encourage you. I desire to compel you to consider the flock. Consider those that your decisions affect. Consider those that your words and your actions and the things that you do reflect back on them. Then through much prayer, I'm reminded of the 10th chapter of the book of John, John chapter 10, starting with the 11th verse, as Jesus himself reflected on this very same thing of shepherd and sheep. Jesus said, 10th chapter, 11th verse of the book of John, "I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. But he that is a hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep and fleeth. And the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep. The hireling fleeth, because he is a hireling, and careth not for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and am known of mine." Jesus said very compellingly, there had been many other leaders throughout Israel. There had been many other leaders throughout the world, but none of them cared like Jesus Christ did himself, because he was truly going to lay his life down for those that he cared for, those that he watched after, those that he wanted to make sure that they were taken care of. So with that, I encourage you to be mindful of those that are your little flock. Seeing yourself as a leader, seeing myself as a leader, I know that my decisions at my little church, I know that they affect those within my flock. Likewise, your decisions affect those within your flock. I would love to be able to look back in life and thank an Almighty God for taking me and making me lie down in green pastures, a place where I felt comfortable and safe, leading me beside still waters. And you likewise, that those whose decisions that you make reflect them, may you lead them in green pastures and beside still waters. May they also look back and be able to say, I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Thank you so much for this opportunity. If you would please stand as we have prayer. Ask you to bow your head, please. Eternal Heavenly Father, God, we thank you again for this day. Lord, this moment, a tradition, Lord, this great state of Georgia that allows speakers and allows devotion and allows reading from God's holy word. God, I beg that you would be with each decision that's made here today. God, be with these men and women that we stand with. Lord, be with their constituents of this great state of Georgia that we love so very much. Thank you for your blessings you've poured out upon us. And we ask only in the perfect holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. I asked if you would turn for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Good message. Thank you, Brother Jason. We appreciate your message, and we appreciate you making a trip down from Dawsonville. Doorkeepers, you may unlock the doors. Members, as you're aware, you may join Brother Jason in the South Ante room and thank him for his service here today for us, and have a photo with him. Members, our doctor of the day is brought to us today by Representative Katie Dempsey of the 13th. Dr. Shahid Salas is our doctor of the day, and we appreciate her being here. And if you need her services, you know she's downstairs. Again, thanks for being here, doctor, and we, Dr. Shahid Salas, we appreciate you being here. And thanks, Katie, for inviting you today. Chairman Hilton, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, is recognized. Chairman Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal of the previous legislative day and found it to be correct. And Mr. Speaker, if I may, I'd like to wish a happy Valentine's Day, early Valentine's Day, to the most beautiful woman in all of Georgia, Miss Meredith Hilton. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Baby, I'm coming home soon.
I hope she's still there. That's all I can tell you after that. You are a lucky man. Chairman Hilton, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to dispense with the reading of the journal? Hearing none, the reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? Hearing none, the chair, journal is confirmed. Like that. Mr. Clerk, will you read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day?
Representative Illustration of the 104th moves following be establishes the order of business and refers part of the period unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Reports of standing committees. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there an objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? Hearing none, the resolution is adopted. First reading the bills and resolutions, the clerk will read.
House Bill 407 by Representative Gilliard to the 162nd, Crawford to the 89th, Holly to the 116th, Tran to the 80th, Schofield to the 63rd, and others. Bill be entitled an act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to income taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 408 by Representative Gilliard to the 162nd, Cannon to the 58th, Scott to the 76th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 23 of Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to insurance licensing.
Insurance.
House Bill 409 by Representative Gilliard to the 162nd, Jackson to the 68th, Moore to the 91st, Hefner to the 130th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to income taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 410 by Representative Deloach to the 167th, Lumsden to the 12th, Williamson to the 112th. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to insurance.
Insurance.
House Bill 411 by Representative Irwin of the 32nd. Bill be titled an act to amend the act creating a Board of Commissioners for Banks County.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 412 by Representative Kelly of the 16th. Bill be titled an act to amend an act creating the Polk County Water Authority.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 413 by Representative Jenkins, the 136th, Huddleston to the 72nd, Campbell the 171st, Ridley the 22nd, Byrd to the 20th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1 and Title 2 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the general provisions regarding agriculture.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
House Bill 414 by Representative Jones, the 25th, Deloach of the 167th, Gunner of the 8th, Scoggins the 14th, and Holcomb of the 101st. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 21 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to government transparency.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 415 by Representative Jones, the 25th, Seaball, the 34th, Barrett of the 24th, Petrie, the 166th, Corbett of the 174th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 44 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to property.
Judiciary.
House Bill 416 by Representative Illustration of the 104th, Blackman of the 146th, Kelly of the 16th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 88 of Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to enterprise zones.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 417 by Representative Gaines, the 120th, Hitchens, the 161st, Dickey, the 134th, and Green of the 154th. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 23-411 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to definitions regarding tuition equalization grants.
Higher Education.
House Bill 418 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Carpenter of the 4th, Tran of the 80th, Davis of the 87th, and Scott of the 76th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 39 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to regulation of employment of minors.
Industry and Labor.
House Bill 419 by Representative Hawkins, the 27th, Gamble, the 15th, Martin, the 49th, Jackson, the 128th, Mathis, the 133rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 2, Chapter 3, Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the university system.
Higher Education.
House Bill 420 by Representative Taylor, the 173rd, Hawkins, the 27th, Dempsey, the 13th, Mathiak of the 82nd, Stinson, the 150th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 24, Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding insurance.
Insurance.
House Bill 421 by Representative Taylor of the 173rd, Rice of the 139th, Reeves of the 99th, Ballinger of the 23rd, Mathiak of the 82nd. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 16 in the official code of Georgia annotated relating to crimes and offenses.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 422 by Representative McCollum of the 30th, Jones of the 47th, Burchett of the 176th, Williamson of the 112th, Blackman of the 146th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 18 to Title 45 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to employees' insurance and benefit plans.
Insurance.
House Bill 423 by Representative Wade of the 9th, Donatucci of the 105th, Reeves of the 99th, Silcox of the 53rd, Hilton of the 48th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 12 of Chapter 3 of Title 38 and Part 4 of Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 46 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to emergency communications.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 424 by Representative Meeks of the 179th, Dickey of the 134th, Burchett of the 176th, Wade of the 9th, McDonald the 3rd of the 26th, and others.
Continue.
A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 6 of Chapter 7 of Title 2 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to liability for use of fertilizers.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
House Bill 425 by Representative Burchett of the 176th, Hagan of the 156th, Camp of the 135th, Hatchett of the 155th, Osteen of the 169th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to imposition rate computation exemptions and credits so as to provide for a tax credit.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 426 by Representative New of the 40th, Abstration of the 104th, Hughley of the 141st, Burchett of the 176th, Park of the 107th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 10 of Title 15 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to magistrate courts.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 427 by Representative Reese of the 140th, Green of the 154th, Smith of the 18th, Gullett of the 19th, Olalier of the 59th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 2 of Title 44 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to recording relative to property.
That's 427.
Yes.
Judiciary.
House Bill 428 by Representative Franklin of the 160th, Jones of the 47th, Silcox of the 53rd, Hilton of the 48th, Hong of the 103rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 31 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding health.
Health.
House.
Proceed, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 429 by Representative Wilkerson of the 39th, Prince of the 132nd, Seaball of the 34th, Blackman of the 146th, Smith of the 41st, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 10 of Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to ad valorem taxation.
That's 429.
Yes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 430 by Representative Saints of the 180th, Clifton of the 131st, Ballard of the 147th, Ford of the 170th, Ballinger of the 23rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 1 of Title 42 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to Sexual Offender Risk Review Board.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 431 by Representative Jones, the 25th, Powell of the 33rd, Ridley the 6th, Hatchett of the 155th, Corbett of the 174th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 15 of Chapter 1 of Title 10 of the official code of Georgia annotated the Fair Business Practices Act of 1975.
Banks and Banking.
House Bill 432 by Representative Kelly, the 16th, Rhodes, the 124th, Cannon, the 172nd, Donahue, the 31st, Chastain, the 7th. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 27-2-6 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to trout licenses.
Game, Fish, and Parks.
House Bill 433 by Representative Ballinger, the 23rd Camp of the 135th, Rice, the 139th, Osteen, and the 169th, Methiac of the 82nd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 3, Title 35 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Georgia Crime Information Center.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 434 by Representative Ballinger, the 23rd Camp of the 135th. Rice, the 39th, Osteen, and the 169th, Mathiac of the 82nd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 12 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to offenses against public health and morals.
Judiciary, Juvenile.
House Bill 435 by Representative Ballinger, the 23rd Camp of the 135th, Rice of the 139th, Osteen and the 169th, Mathiac of the 82nd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 16, 12, 100 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to sexual exploitation of children.
Judiciary, Juvenile.
House Bill 436 by Representative Griffin of the 149th, Miller of the 62nd, Hughley the 141st, Lim of the 98th, Williams, the 168th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to education.
Education.
House Bill 437 by Representative Lim of the 98th, Cannon of the 172nd, Hong of the 103rd, Olalier the 59th, Reeves the 99th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to educational programs under the Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
House Bill 438 by Representative Crowe of the 118th, Lumsden of the 12th, Silcox of the 53rd, Hitchens of the 161st, Blackman of the 146th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Employees Retirement System of Georgia. Yes, sir.
Retirement.
House Bill 439 by Representative Yurt of the 152nd, Dickey the 134th, Williams the 148th, Anderson of the 10th, Kelly the 16th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 48.850 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to compensation of dealers for reporting and paying tax.
Banks and banking.
House Resolution 250 by Representative Washburn of the 144th, Powell of the 33rd, Ridley the 6th, Ridley of the 22nd, Stevens, the 164th, and others. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to provide that the governing authority of any county or consolidated government shall be authorized.
Ways and Means.
House Resolution 251 by Representative New of the 40th, Abstration of the 104th, Hughley the 141st, Burchett of the 176th, Park of the 107th, and others. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to provide that all probate judges shall be elected.
Judiciary. Members, I know that y'all don't really mind, have a lot of interest in where these Senate bills go, but I've got to hear the clerk, so y'all have to take it down just a notch or two. We always want to respect the Senate. Mr. Clerk.
Senate Bill 5 by Senator Patrick of the 32nd, Walker of the 20th, Watson of the 1st, Huffstetler of the 52nd, Harbison of the 15th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 46 of Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to certification of private review agents.
Insurance.
Senate Bill 47 by Senator Anna Duarte of the 31st, Brass of the 6th, Gooch of the 51st, Ginn of the 47th, Robertson of the 29th, and others. A bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 48.8.3 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to exemptions from sales and use taxes.
Ways and Means.
Senate Resolution 95 by Senator Donazal of the 27th, Burns of the 23rd, Goodman of the 8th, Watson of the 11th, Kennedy of the 18th, and others. A resolution naming the forthcoming new legislative office complex.
State properties.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 380 by Representative Green of the 154th, a bill to repeal an act creating the Lower Chattahoochee Regional Airport Authority. House Bill 381 by Representative Green of the 154th, a bill to amend an act to create the Lower Chattahoochee Regional Transport Authority. House Bill 382 by Representative Stevens of the 164th and Newton of the 127th, a bill relating to Schedule I controlled substances. House Bill 383 by Representative Cox of the 28th, Rhodes of the 124th, Cannon of the 172nd, McLean of the 109th, Irwin of the 32nd, a bill relating to education and minors. House Bill 384 by Representative Seabaugh of the 34th, Reeves of the 99th, Carson of the 46th, Hitchens of the 161st, Fleming of the 114th, and others, a bill relating to abuse of governmental office and official oaths. House Bill 385 by Representative Holcomb of the 81st and Barrett of the 24th, a bill relating to eligibility requirements for a Hope Scholarship and award amount. House Bill 386 by Representative Barnes of the 86th, Hughley of the 141st, Burnell of the 77th, Jackson of the 165th, Drenner of the 85th, and others, a bill relating to exemptions from sales and use taxes. House Bill 387 by Representative Thomas of the 21st, LaHood of the 175th, Gullett of the 19th, Ballinger of the 23rd, Ridley of the 22nd, and others, a bill relating to service delivery. House Bill 388 by Representative Clark of the 100th, Bonner of the 73rd, Hitchens of the 161st, Martinez of the 111th, Cannon of the 172nd, and others, a bill relating to imposition rate, computation, exemption, and credit from state income tax. House Bill 389 by Representative Bell of the 75th, Holland of the 54th, Sharper of the 177th, Drenner of the 85th, Fry of the 122nd, and others, are bill relating to property. House Bill 390 by Representative Fleming of the 114th, Hagan of the 156th, Hitchens of the 161st, Scoggins of the 14th, McDonald of the 26th, and others, a bill relating to offenses against public order and unsecured judicial release. House Bill 391 by Representative Cox of the 28th, Powell of the 33rd, Jaspers of the 11th, Deloach of the 167th, Washburn of the 144th, a bill relating to professions and businesses. House Bill 392 by Representative Martin of the 49th, Gunter of the 8th, Oliver of the 84th, Reeves of the 99th, Leverett of the 123rd, a bill relating to tax courts. House Bill 393 by Representative Cooper of the 45th, Sains of the 180th, Crawford of the 89th, Newton of the 127th, Rice of the 139th, a bill relating to traffic laws applicable to bicycles, operation upon paved shoulder, and signaling of right-hand turns. House Bill 394 by Representative McLean of the 109th, Hughley of the 141st, Alexander of the 66th, Jones of the 60th, Jackson of the 68th, and others, a bill relating to minimum wage law. House Bill 395 by Representative McLean of the 109th, Hughley of the 141st, Alexander of the 66th, Jones of the 60th, Jackson of the 68th, and others, a bill relating to minimum wage law. House Bill 396 by Representative Campbell of the 35th, Ridley of the 22nd, Earhart of the 36th, Seabaugh of the 34th, McQueen of the 61st, and others, a bill to amended act to reincorporate and provide a new charter for the city of Ackworth. House Bill 397 by Representative Fleming of the 114th, LaHood of the 175th, Leverett of the 123rd, Gullett of the 19th, Scoggins of the 14th, and others, a bill relating to elections and primaries. House Bill 398 by Representative Hagan of the 156th, Gaines of the 120th, Dempsey of the 13th, Camp of the 135th, Prince of the 132nd, and others, a bill relating to standards labeling and adulteration of food. House Bill 399 by Representative Oliver of the 84th, Alali of the 59th, Burnell of the 77th, Blackman of the 146th, and Fry of the 122nd, and others, a bill relating to landlords and tenants. House Bill 400 by Representative Fry of the 122nd, Alali of the 59th, Washburn of the 144th, Bell of the 75th, Roberts of the 52nd, and others, a bill relating to conservation and natural resources, highways, bridges, ferries, and state government. House Bill 401 by Representative Fry of the 122nd, Montana of the 17th, Ridley of the 22nd, Bell of the 75th, Roberts of the 52nd, and others, a bill relating to regulation of rates, underwriting rules, and related organizations. House Bill 402 by Representative Fry of the 122nd, Bell of the 75th, Drenner of the 85th, Sanchez of the 42nd, Paris of the 142nd, and others, a bill relating to utilities and public transportation and state government. House Bill 403 by Representative Bell of the 75th, Lallier of the 59th, Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, Fry of the 122nd, and others, a bill relating to property. House Bill 404 by Representative Taylor of the 92nd, Moore of the 91st, Carter of the 93rd, a bill relating to amended act creating a new charter for the city of Conyers. House Bill 405 by Representative Fry of the 122nd, Wiedauer of the 121st, Evans of the 57th, Crawford of the 89th, Roberts of the 52nd, and others, a bill relating to licensing of agents, agencies, sub-agents, counselors, and adjusters. House Bill 406 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd, a bill relating to the Georgia Judicial Retirement System. Senate Bill 39 by Senator Tillery of the 19th, Summers of the 13th, Robertson of the 29th, Watson of the 1st, Walker of the 20th, and others. A bill relating to the employees' insurance and benefit plans, public assistance, general provisions relative to state government. Senate Bill 70 by Senator Anderson of the 43rd, a bill to provide for the creation of one or more community districts within the city of Conyers. Senate Bill 78 by Senator Watson of the 1st, Mallow of the 2nd, Hickman of the 4th, Dixon of the 45th, a bill to create the City of Tybee Island Building and Public Facilities Authority. Senate Bill 83 by Senator Hofstetler of the 52nd and Setzler of the 37th, a bill to provide a homestead exemption from Bartow County School District ad valorem taxes for educational purposes. Senate Bill 84 by Senator Albers of the 56th, Payne of the 54th, Burns of the 23rd, Still of the 48th, Williams of the 25th, a bill relating to special license plates promoting certain worthy agencies, funds, or nonprofit corporations. Through second readers.
Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Victor Anderson of the 10th District, Chairman of the Committee on Governmental Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Governmental Affairs has had under its consideration the following bills of the House and Senate. It's instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 113 do pass. House Bill 140 do pass by committee substitute. Senate Bill 16 do pass. Respectfully submitted. Representative Victor Anderson of the 10th District, Chairman. Representative Chuck Martin of the 49th District, Chairman on Committee on Higher Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Higher Education has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. It's instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 56 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 172 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Chuck Martin of the 49th District, Chairman. Representative Stephen Saints of the 180th District, Chairman on Committee on Interstate Cooperation, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Interstate Cooperation has had under its consideration the following resolution of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Resolution 132 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Stephen Saints of the 180th District, Chairman. Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District, Chairman of the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals had under its consideration the following bills of the House. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 349 do pass. House Bill 355 do pass. House Bill 356 do pass. House Bill 359 do pass. House Bill 252 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District, Chairman. Representative Lynn Smith of the 70th District, Chairman of the Committee on Natural Resources and Environment, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Natural Resources and Environment has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. It's instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 143 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Lynn Smith of the 70th District, Chairman. Representative Clint Crow of the 118th District, Chairman of the Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. It's instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 205 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 246 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Clint Crow of the 118th District, Chairman. Representative Lisa Hagan of the 156th District, Chairman of the Committee on Rural Development, has submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Rural Development has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. It's instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 51 do pass by substitute. House Bill 262 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Lisa Hagan of the 156th District, Chairman. Representative Jones of the 25th District, Chairman of the Committee on Technology and Infrastructure Innovation, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Technology and Infrastructure Innovation has had under its consideration the following bill of the House. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 58 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Jones of the 25th District, Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Members, we do have a local calendar this morning. We do have a local calendar. We have one bill on the local calendar that relates to homestead exemption. Requires a recorded 2/3 roll call vote for passage. Members will come to the floor. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Hearing none, it is so ordered. Mr. Clerk, will you read the local calendar?
House Bill 349 by Representative Alexander of the 66th, Douglas County. House Bill 355 by Representative Tran of the 80th, City of Doraville. House Bill 356 by Representative Tram of the 80th, City of Doraville. House Bill 359 by Representative Kelly of the 16th, City of Cedartown. And House Bill 252 by substitute by Representative Smith of the 70th, City of Noonan.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bills on the local calendar will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? Almost all members. Have all members voted? If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machines? On the bills on the local calendar, the yeas are 163, the nays are 0. These bills, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. We'll take up some morning orders now. I'm going to ask you to be fairly brief, or we could be here, let's see, till looks like about dark, as many orders as we have. We'll have to turn on the lights again. So let's do about a minute maximum, absolute maximum 2 minutes. But we're going to go with a minute, and I'm going to start blinking the lights at you after that minute. Chair Lady Ballinger and This is Reinhardt Day, so Chair Lady Ballinger, Representative Scoggins, Representative Byrd, Representative Carson, Representative Jasper, Representative Pro Tem Jones, Representative Thomas, Representative Parsons, and Representative Ridley. If y'all will join the gentle lady in the well, she would appreciate it, and I would too.
Okay. Thank you.
The lady will suspend just for a moment. This is a good one. Ladies recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, our folks from Reinhardt, we were taking pictures over here in the anteroom, so they haven't made it into the gallery yet. But it is Reinhardt Day at the Capitol. It's a very integral part of Cherokee County. It educates a lot of our educators in Cherokee County, so we're very proud of that university being in Waleska. So we're just going to celebrate, and if y'all would, I think some of them are finally coming in, so if y'all could just recognize them, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
A great school. Thanks for recognizing. Thank y'all for being here. We're glad to have you. Representative Gaines. Are you talking about that dog, or are you talking about something else?
Sort of dog, but not the big dog.
Okay. Representative Gaines is recognized. And Representative Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and Representative Wiedauer. I don't know if he's in the room yet, but I know we have a lot of dogs here today. But also we have Family and Consumer Sciences Day. We did a resolution on behalf of the House honoring Family and Consumer Sciences Day. But in the gallery we have the University of Georgia College of Family and Consumer Sciences Assistant Dean Melissa Landers Potts, Keena Torbert, the President-elect of Georgia Association of Family and Consumer Sciences, DJ Youngblood, Kayla Hartline, Jackie Ogden, Kristen Hankins, and Krisha Patel. If y'all are in the gallery, please stand and be recognized. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Oliver. Give the lady in the well your attention. This is a good one as well.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Please join me in welcoming New Americans Day celebration at our state capitol today. We have 11 of our 11 million people, over 1 million people are foreign-born. 1 in 5 of our doctors and healthcare workers are foreign-born, 1/2 of our construction workers. They pay $11 billion in taxes. I am grateful that my church has helped sponsor refugees for 30 years. It has brought me closer and many of my friends closer to the struggles and the successes of this community. Please join me in welcoming New Americans Day to the Capitol today. Thank you for coming.
Welcome and congratulations on your achievement, your citizenship. Thank you for what you've done, and thank you for your church and your continued support of New Americans. Awesome. Thank you so much. Good to have you in the People's House. Representative Schofield, do you have some friends here with you today, all dressed appropriately? Are okay.
Capes on and glasses on.
Capes and glasses. You can't come down if you don't have your cape and your glasses. Give them just a moment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, we got a couple of folks walking slow. They forgot their glasses. So they can't be admitted.
All the cool people wear purple glasses.
All the cool kids wearing glasses today.
Ow. Can you get my glasses? Come on, Miss Patty. Lord, the diva coming.
Strawberry Queen.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is Lupus Advocacy Day at the Capitol. For those that have been living with lupus, caregiving for someone with lupus, we are here today, your constituents, to talk to you about what it's like to not only live with lupus, but the challenges in housing and working and the pain. But beyond that, we're champions. And so I want my colleagues ladies and my lupus family up in the gallery to recognize we stand with you as legislators because we hear you, we see you, we recognize everyday struggles that you have, and we work collectively to make life better and improve the quality of life. As a person that not only lives with lupus for 25 years, I'm proud to have our lupus research team led under the guidance of Dr. Sam Lim from Emory in the gallery. And for many of you that don't know, we know that there's a challenge of shortages of rheumatologists, dermatologists, nephrologists in rural Georgia. So the Georgia Council on Lupus Education and Awareness works across the state to identify these gaps, also make sure that people in rural areas have access through telemedicine, telehealth, to improve the quality of life. I would like all of our lupus family and your constituents to stand up who trekked it down here in the rain and traffic. This is not a good day for us, but it's a best day. So we say no lupus, K-N-O-W, and no lupus. So today, I salute you. Thank you for being in the People's House. And I'm just going to step out for 1 minute to let you know that we are champions. Okay, we are champions. Superheroes. Heroes. Oh, Mr. Speaker got his glasses on. Go ahead. Thank you. I yield the well. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Representative Schofield. We appreciate your passion. Welcome to the People's House. We look forward to continue working with you. This house has always been dedicated to ensure we support lupus research and working with all of our folks. These glasses give you a different view on life, I can assure you. Representative McLean, you even look good when I have these glasses on. What can I say? All right. Yes. Representative Scott. Representative Scott. Representative Sandra Scott is recognized for a morning order.
Good morning and thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm here today to welcome the National Council of Negro Women. I do not see them in the gallery as of yet, but just wanted to welcome them to their capital today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Oh, okay. If you all are here.
There they are.
Okay. I don't see the rest of them. It's about 150 of them here today, and just want to say welcome to your house. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Thank you, Representative Scott. Representative Rhonda Taylor. Representative Taylor. Take your time. You're okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. We have with us today the family, career, and community leaders of Heritage High School. If you're seated already, would you please stand? Yeah, they are. This is the Rockdale County chapter under the direction of Miss Millicent Holloway, and who's their advisor, and we're recognizing them with a resolution today that I'm not going to read, but I do want to let you know that Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, FCCLA, is a national nonprofit, family-focused, intracurricular student organization for family and consumer sciences students through grade 12, and it helps them youth to assume their roles in society through family and consumer sciences education, in personal growth, family life, and college readiness, career exploration, leadership, and community involvement. They will be on the steps at 11:30 in South Wing for a photo, and they'll be in room 502 for lunch, CLOB. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Welcome, young people from Heritage High School. Good to have y'all. Representative Adenya and the Gwinnett delegation. Gentlemen, suspend just for a moment.
Can I keep my glasses on?
Yes, you can.
Gentlemen is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I'd like to recognize an outstanding constituent of mine, Alyssa Anderson. She's here with friends. Can she please rise? Alyssa currently serves as the founder and executive director of the Women's Resource, Inc., a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to aiding women and low-income families by addressing their immediate needs and equipping them with tools necessary to achieve their educational, financial, careers, and spiritual goals. She also has served over 80 families, provided meals to more than 3,600 individuals annually, empowered 24 entrepreneurs through training and mentorship, conducted extensive street outreach, and offered life skills, coaching, and professional development programs. I'd like to commend her because that's an outstanding constituent that's doing great work in the community, the work that we continue to support in this house. Welcome to our house. Let's recognize her by standing up and give her a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you for the work you do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Representative Carl Gilliard and Representative Lynn Smith. Chair Lady Smith, y'all are recognized for a motion. Chairman Dickey, Representative Smith. Yeah, please, thank you. Now, I don't need you, Representative Dickey. I just wanted you to let her go.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm honored to be here on today, my brothers and sisters, to thank you once again, Mr. Speaker, and members of the Georgia General Assembly for the passage of House Resolution 625, the Gullah Geechee Society. In the balcony are members from all over the coast. They come from Savannah, Liberty County, Brunswick, Darien, all over the coastal empire. And today they're here not only to treat you to lunch at 12 o'clock, but I want to pose a question. If you have tasted delicious seafood and the segues of the South, then you are Gullah Geechee. If you are a proponent of sweet grass and baskets in Charleston, South Carolina, and storytelling, and you are Gullah Geechee. But not only that, they say in Sapelo and beyond, we are the ones that got it going on around here. Yeah. If you are Al Williams, then you are Gullah Geechee.
Maybe.
But thank you so much for passing House Resolution 625. Can we get those members to stand that are here with us? They'll be joining us in room 230, and I want to pass it over to our chairwoman, Lynn Smith, for helping us make this a momentous and great occasion. Would you welcome them to the People's House?
Thank you, Representative. I'll be very brief. We're looking at leaders of the community on this cultural movement, and they are known now nationally and internationally, been published everywhere. It is an honor for us to welcome you today, and we will not put nutmeg and cinnamon together in a sweet potato ever again.
Ever again. Mr. Speaker, we yield the well.
Thank you. Good to have y'all, and you learn something every day, don't you, Representative? Chair Lady Dempsey, Chairman Lumsden, and Representative Barton, Matt Barton. Ladies recognized and the gentleman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, members. Today we are honored to have Leadership Rome here with us. They've just stepped into our chamber to watch and see the great work that we do here today. So be on your best behavior, please. This is excellent. The class of 25-26, number 43. I'm afraid I might have been in 2 or 3 or 4 or something very long ago. Welcome. We're so glad for all the good works that y'all do in our hometown. Mr. Speaker, I yield the well.
Ladies, yield the well. Thank you for being here and making the effort to be here, y'all. Welcome to the People's House. Representative Paris and Representative Petrie, if y'all will come. Oh, they're separate. Okay, I'm sorry. My bad. Who wants to go first? Y'all look like you liked each other there for a second, but you, ladies first. Representative Paris, recognized for a morning order.
I want to get my Macon delegation, please. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You all, Big Brothers and Big Sisters is here today, and the Macon chapter is here. And for those of you that don't know a whole lot about them, I'm going to just give you a little snippet. Since 1904, Big Brothers, Big Sisters has operated under the belief that inherent in every child is incredible potential. As the nation's largest donor and volunteer-supported mentoring network, Big Brothers, Big Sisters makes meaningful, monitored matches between adult volunteers, who are the bigs, and children, littles, ages 5 through young adulthood, and communities across the country. They develop positive relationships that have a direct and lasting effect on the lives of young people. And if the Macon Bib people from Big Brothers, Big Sisters would stand, they are under the guided direction of Miss Betsy Fitzgerald. We thank you all. Also, any other Big Brothers and Big Sisters that we have, if you'll please stand. Thank you so much for coming to the People's House. You're very welcome here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Macon Bib Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Great job. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate what you do. Chairman Petrie's morning order was on the same line, so we appreciate certainly what y'all all do in all parts of our state. Thank you, and thanks for taking time to come. Representative Teddy Reese. Oh, there you are. You're already down there with Lita Hughley. Lita Hughley and Representative Reese are recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's a well-known fact that while we are up here in Atlanta, it's our local leaders back home, both elected and appointed, that keeps things moving for us. And so we want to pause for a second to recognize our chairwoman of the Muskogee County Democratic Committee, who's here with us today, Ms. Roya Anderson. If you would please stand up, and welcome to the People's House.
Thank you, and welcome to the People's House. Representative Wiedauer and Representative Gaines and Representative Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've got Oconee County FCCLA in that building. If you will stand where you are, I think you're spread out up there. Y'all, it's always great to see young faces down here. A lot of these, I show of hands earlier, have first time to the Capitol, so welcome them in the building today.
And Mr. Speaker, while the Athens delegation and Representative Rhodes is here with us too, but today is Dogs at the Dome Day, and I want to say thank you for that beautiful tie you're wearing, Mr. Speaker. That looks really nice on you with the UGA look. So go Dogs! And at 11 o'clock, there's the strawberry ice cream pie in the rotunda, so please join us for strawberry ice cream pie. Go Dogs! Thank you.
I'll be there for that, buddy. Thank you. I wore this for boss man Terry England, I can tell you. And to salute UGA, so good to have them, and thanks for the folks from Oconee being here as well. That completes our morning orders. There's a gentleman on the floor I wanted to recognize. Members, I want you all to join me in welcoming a former member of this House, a former member of Congress who led in Georgia and who led for all the right reasons in America. Thank you, Tom Graves, for your service to Georgia and your service to our country. We are especially glad to have you with us today. Thank you, sir. You look great.
Thank you.
We also have Janie Graves. She's working down on the second floor with the governor, keeping things straight down there. That's why the second floor is running so smoothly, Jamie. I'm sure that's why, Janie. That was good information. That completes our morning orders and our recognition. Let's move on to the rules calendar. You ready, Mr. Clerk? Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 3636?
House Bill 36 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd and others being titled an act to amend Title 29 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to guardian and ward so as to revise the list of providers who are authorized to participate in the process for appointment of a guardian as an adult. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Rob Leverett from over, what county are you from? Got a little granite there, don't he? Elbert County, the granite capital of the world, I believe. Representative Leverett is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's not only Elbert County, it's named for Samuel Elbert, who was the colonel at the Battle of Briar Creek, you might recall.
Absolutely, down in my neck of the woods.
A little bit of Screven County history for you and Georgia history. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I am asking your favorable consideration today for House Bill 36, a bill that seeks to address a crisis in our state right now regarding the ability of citizens of our state to care for elderly and others who are not able, for whatever reason, to look after themselves. This bill may look familiar to some of you who are returning. That's because we have voted it off the floor of the House 3 times in the last 2 years. Once as Judge Mitchell Scoggins' bill, once as a bill I sponsored, and a second time last year attached to another bill. This bill expands the list of professionals who, in a proceeding to appoint a conservator or a guardian for an adult, can provide to a probate court an evaluation of that adult. They're called a proposed ward in that proceeding. Currently, the following professionals can provide the evaluation, which is required by law, and the court will, in some cases, require 2 or more evaluations. That's physicians, psychologists, and licensed clinical social workers. This bill adds to that list physician assistants, nurse practitioners, or clinical nurse specialists in psychiatric or mental health, and a marriage and family therapist or professional counselor. In Section 13, the bill also addresses a definition of gross settlement, which is material in determining whether a conservator can settle the claim of or against the proposed ward. And that just tries to clarify that definition. If you're above a certain amount of a gross settlement, you have to get court approval. If you're below it, you can settle on your own as a conservator without court approval. So the question is, why are we expanding this list? Well, the reason, very shortly, is because the professionals currently authorized by statute to perform that evaluation are not doing it. They're reluctant to do it. And I'm not trying to blame or censure them at all for that. I don't question their reasons, and I can think of a number of perfectly valid reasons why one of those professions might not be able to provide that evaluation. But the fact is, they're not doing it, and as a result, the cases are being delayed and sometimes stalled. I hope all of you have a power of attorney and advance directive. I hope everyone that you care about has an advance directive and power of attorney. But if you don't, or they don't, and they become unable to make decisions for themselves, this is your only option, is a conservatorship or a guardianship. And it is a lengthy, expensive, long, emotionally gut-wrenching process. And it should be, because you're after all, you're proposing to put yourself in a position, if you're the petitioner, to make decisions for these folks. So currently our law requires that you file a sworn petition with the court. If it's only one of you filing the petition, you have to have an evaluation of one of these professionals with your petition. Once the court gets the petition, the court reads it and makes a determination if there's even a sufficient showing. They can dismiss the case right there. If they think there's probable cause, they then order another evaluation. Well, currently right now, they can't get the evaluation done, and so the case stalls. So imagine your predicament. You're basically suing a parent or a relative or a loved one, and that case is just sitting there. And sometimes it's because the parent is getting in their car and driving places and doesn't know where they're going. It's because the parent is leaving pots on the stove and they dry up and start a fire. It's because they're giving all of their property and money away to anybody who comes to the door. So there's a degree of urgency here. Plus, it also is not best for the relationship of parent and child usually to do this, but it's something you do because you love your parents. So that is why we're expanding the list, because we owe it as a state to allow a process that is very deliberate and purposeful, but that happens quickly. So I've had some concern expressed about the qualifications of the people we're adding. They are all qualified. I would submit they're probably more qualified than some of the others on the list. They all have training in mental health. They all take continuing education in mental health, and it's what they do day to day. In other words, these are not, if you hear therapists and counselors, a lot of people think of Kent Flounder Dorfman in Animal House or Stuart Smalley, but that's not who we're talking about here. So I would ask your favorable support of this bill. The probate judges initiated it because they need it, and I would be glad to stand for questions.
Gentlemen, yield for.
Yes.
You done?
I'm done.
Okay. Just making sure.
So glad I had everybody's rapt attention.
Yeah, you do. I know how you lawyers are. You get to the end and you keep on going because y'all get paid by the hour, so we understand that.
Well, I had this curious notion that folks might want to actually know what the bill's about, Mr. Speaker.
Well, there's a couple that do. Representative Bernal is recognized for a question. Representative Rhonda Bernal, to your left.
Does the gentleman yield?
I do, yes, ma'am.
I just want to say thank you. I did do my will and all those other documents.
Good for you.
There's a program, and I was able to do it for free. And so I really do understand the value and the importance. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the question.
The gentleman yield for another question?
I do, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Hatchett, to your right, has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The gentleman yield?
Yes.
To the gentleman in the well. Is this your first bill?
This year, yes.
Well, I was wondering, because you said we had heard this, I think, 4 previous times, and you still wanted to go into all the cliff notes, so thank you.
Just trying to be careful, Mr. Chairman.
And he still wasn't brief, but anyway. Gentleman, yield for a question to...
I'll yield for one more.
Chairman Saines, to your left, has a question. Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Let me think. Yes.
I appreciate the elaborate presentation that the gentleman gave to us and in the law book he brought to make sure people knew his credentials. But normally the gentleman ends with a quote that really ties the bill together, so I'm still having a hard time comprehending the legislation because I didn't hear one in that elaborate speech.
Well, I've got one for you. To a young man like you, don't buy your kids an encyclopedia. Let them walk to school the way you did. Mr. Speaker, given the caliber of the questions, I'll yield the well and ask your favorable consideration of House Bill 36. And I'm going to take my book with me.
Yeah, you were doing pretty good until that last one there. Gentlemen's yielded well. We do have an opposing opinion, and we would appreciate that if Representative Stacey Evans would come up, another very learned attorney, and we appreciate her insight as well. The lady's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could I borrow that law book so they know we're on equal footing here? Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I rise to oppose House Bill 36 with the caveat that I don't oppose the idea. I understand the problem. I do agree we need to deal with it, but I don't think that this is the way. And I'm not under any grand illusions that I'm going to stop this bill, but I want to share my concerns because I have a feeling they might be concerns for you, and I would like for you to help share those concerns across the hall so that we can make this bill better before it finally becomes law. So what am I talking about? What are we talking about generally here? As the gentleman has explained, we are talking about a process where you go and put a loved one in a conservatorship or a guardianship. Typically, that's going to be an elder family member. It's not always. It could be a mental health issue for someone younger as well. But we're essentially talking about a court order that says an individual, a citizen of this country, no longer has the power to make their own decisions. That means their individual freedom is suspended. This is a big deal. Is it sometimes necessary? Absolutely. Is it heart-wrenching and sad when it happens? Absolutely. Do we need this process to work efficiently? Absolutely. But we cannot go for speed when we are talking about freedom. We cannot shirk on qualifications when we are talking about freedom. So as the gentleman said, right now, the law authorizes 3 professions to give an initial affidavit to allow one of these petitions to even start. That's a physician, a psychologist, or a licensed clinical social worker. Then after that petition is presented to a learned probate judge, that person will decide whether, the judge will decide whether it can go forward at all. And if it does, then the court appoints an evaluator. Right now, the law only allows 3 people to be those evaluators, the same professions I mentioned: physician, psychologist, licensed clinical social worker. We are asking to expand that to include 4 more professions: physician assistants, who typically work under physicians, nurse practitioners, clinical nurse specialists, and marriage and family therapists. Again, I understand the need to have more professionals available, but again, we're talking about individual rights, and so we want to make sure that we, the people that set the law and tell a judge who is qualified to give you this opinion, we want to make sure that that person actually is. Now, I want to also admit something. This is sort of a, no matter how long you've been down here, you can learn things. I did vote for this bill before, exactly as it is before us today, multiple times. And those that expressed the concerns that lead me here today did not express those the last time we considered this legislation. There could be any number of reasons for that, why those concerns didn't make it to us, to allow me at least to slow down and look at this a little bit more. We all think everyone's watching us. I know this is broadcast, and maybe we think everybody's gathered around the fireplace watching us and hanging on every word. No, they're not. They're busy. Not everyone can afford a lobbyist to sit out in that hall and review every bill that we put to make sure that the people they're looking out for, that they might have concerns about, they can't all be here to catch everything. So when they do finally catch it, we don't chastise them for that and say, well, you never told us. Guess what? They're telling us now. And so we owe it to them to hear them, to slow down and make changes. I'm not as good at quotes as my friend, but I do have one. I don't normally have them, but there's a great quote by John Maynard Keynes. When my information changes, I alter my conclusions. What do you do, sir? When you know better, you do better. When you get new information, you take care of it. Now, the new professions that we're adding here, again, I said it's lengthy. It's longer than any other state, and I've done a 50-state survey from the Department of Justice in a section called Elder Justice. Our list is going to be longer than any other state except 5 states. And each and every one of those other 5 states has a very important qualifier that our law doesn't have. Namely, in each of those states, which is Florida, Kentucky, New York, Pennsylvania, and Vermont, their laws say that yes, there's a broader list of professions that can provide the evaluations, but they have a caveat that they must have skill, knowledge, or training in the specific incapacity claimed for the proposed ward before them. Not everyone's loved one is going to get a proposed conservatorship or guardianship for the same reason. It could be a physical incapacity. It could be a mental incapacity. Not all physicians, not all medical professionals are equal, and we want to make sure that the person that's providing the opinion actually has training, skills, and knowledge in that specific situation. The other thing about these other states that have lists either the same size as ours or potentially a little bit longer, at least two of those, ask for a committee of professionals, not just one person, not just one medical professional, but a committee, one of which must be a physician. That's what happens in Florida and Kentucky. Now, I've heard, in response to what I've just shared with you, you might hear, well, we currently let any doctor, any physician provide these opinions, and if it's a physical issue versus a mental issue, we're not making those distinctions now. Well, again, you know now. And when you know better, you should do better. Maybe it would prevent us from having to do another cleanup. So again, I'm voting against this bill because not because I don't think we need to make a change to this process, not because I don't think we need to help our probate judges, but we need that caveat, ladies and gentlemen, because we're talking about freedom. We're talking about people in a very vulnerable position. And again, I've done this 50-state survey. I invite you to go there. It's on the Justice Department website. I'll give you the link, or you can Google it, and I think it'll come up for you. But again, I found no other state that has marriage therapist as an option here, as we're adding. Most require a physician, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist. Some have RNs, PAs, or social workers, but most of those have that specific qualification that I told you about, or they ask for a committee of people, not just one person. And again, I want to be very clear. I don't have a problem with this proposed list. I think it will, expanded list, I think it will help our probate judges, but we need that caveat that our other states have seen fit to put in. So please join me in voting no, just to make sure that the Senate hears loud and clear that while we want to help our probate judges and we want to make a change in this law, we're not done yet, and we need a few more sentences to perfect this legislation to protect individual freedoms and those vulnerable folks that may be in front of our probate judges with someone asking to take away their freedom to make their own decisions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield.
The lady has a question, if she'll yield.
I'd be happy to yield.
To the gentleman to your right, Representative Reeves has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the representative from Atlanta yield for a question?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Isn't it true that guardianships help people with Alzheimer's, dementia, schizophrenia, and other conditions where they're no longer able to care for themselves, and that in the probate court guardianship proceeding, both the guardian ad litem attorney will get to cross-examine the 5 professionals that have been added to the list in this bill, as well as the probate court judge, such as the Cobb County judge who testified in judiciary and the other probate judges who were here at the Capitol yesterday asking for this bill?
Yes, the gentleman is correct that this is a court proceeding. There will be a give and take process, and the judge will ultimately make a decision. But just like in any piece of litigation where a judge has to rely on professionals with particularized medical or scientific qualifications, they serve a gatekeeper function. And the laws that we write give those judges the gatekeeper parameters that they have to use to apply to decide who gets to come in and give that testimony from which the judge is making a decision. You don't just let anybody come in and give a scientific opinion. You don't just let anybody come in and give a medical opinion. You only get to give opinions on issues that you have specific training in. We do that in every other area of the law. I'm sure we'll hear a lot about it when we get to alleged tort reform and start talking about who gets to give opinions in medical malpractice cases. We don't let a foot doctor come in and give an opinion on a heart issue. And here, I think we need to be careful about what we're allowing judges. It's not that judges would knowingly allow someone unqualified to come in, but they use the parameters that we set up for them. And so, yes, there will be cross-examination, but once you put someone on a stand as an expert, that carries weight, and we need to be very careful about the weight that we allow into our courtrooms, and that's what I'm asking here. Again, no offense to these professionals. They are wonderful people that are trying to help, but we all have to follow rules. We all need guardrails, and especially when we're talking about individual freedom and the ability to make your own decisions, which is all of our God-given rights in this country, we've got to be careful, and that's all I'm asking. Let's just add a couple of sentences. Thank you.
Lady, yield for one more.
Sure.
The author of the bill has a question. If you yield.
Only if he'll ask it in the form of a quote. I'm just kidding.
Chairman Leverett's recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentlelady yield?
Yes.
I think, is it fair to say the gentlelady questions the qualifications of the four proposed professions to assess mental capacity in a guardianship or conservatorship proceeding?
Yes and no in certain situations. Just because you may sometimes be trying to put someone into one of these situations because of a physical issue, sometimes for a mental, and even within those two categories there are differences. And I know in committee we talked about how, well, we don't worry about that right now with doctors. We say any doctor. But again, my eyes are open, and I didn't have these concerns last year, but you heard the testimony I did. It was heart-wrenching to hear folks who feel that they're vulnerable to have someone come in and ask for this guardianship or conservatorship over them. I think they're right. We need to make sure that the person that's giving that opinion has specific training, skills, and knowledge for them for whatever their particular situation is.
And I would concur with the lady for another question.
Yes.
And I would concur with the gentlelady, but is it not true that the probate court judges who preside in these matters are the ones who have proposed these particular professions for inclusion in the statute?
I'm sure that they did. That was my impression.
Further question?
Yes.
Does the gentlelady not feel that probate judges are best qualified to determine what kind of evidence should be presented in their court to the issue of competency of a proposed ward?
With all due respect to our probate judges, no. Just like we don't let a trial judge let anyone come in and be an expert on other issues where there might be a particular medical or scientific issue before them. We always have guardrails. It's to just nerd out for a second on the law. It's the Daubert standard, and we need that. I believe we need that here. And if we tell the probate judges are going to follow the law, if we tell the probate judge that any nurse practitioner can come in and give one of these opinions, they will not be following the law if they don't let the person come in and give that opinion. Now, what weight they give it, I don't know. But they will not be following the law if they don't let that person come in. And if we don't put an additional qualification on what nurse practitioner can come in, then the judge can't. We set that law.
So it's the lady's position, am I correct in understanding the lady's position that a judge does not have the discretion to disregard evidence, because that's all we're doing here is allowing evidence in a particular case? Oh, sorry. There we go. Thank you. So I'll ask the question again for the benefit of the room. Is it the lady's considered opinion that probate judges cannot, simply because we say this is some evidence that can be introduced, the probate judge is not qualified or empowered to either disregard that evidence or assign certain weight to it based on the factors the lady has mentioned?
The judge will always have that discretion to assign weight, who they think is telling the truth, who they think has spent more time. But we don't make laws for everybody in the best of situations. We don't make the law assuming that the judge is going to go behind these opinions, is going to go behind every qualification. We have to make laws for the worst case scenario. And I think in every other situation of the law where we allow a medical or scientific person to come in and give opinions, we put guardrails around that. And again, I really don't understand the pushback, ladies and gentlemen, and to the gentleman with the question. And I know I'm not allowed to ask you questions, but I just want to pose a question for the body. Why do we not want this caveat? Why do we want to just let anybody come in and give these opinions to potentially take away individual freedom? It's not too much to ask to just add this caveat, which many of our southern states, like I mentioned, Kentucky and Florida, do the same thing.
Leo, for one more, I know everyone's riveted and enjoying that we're eating up all this time on my bill.
I never believe a lawyer when they say it's the last question, but yes, I will.
Well, and I want to
yield.
thank the lady for showing the room why I spent so much time in my presentation. But, having said that probate judges can't make these decisions, I hope the lady doesn't have an active practice in probate court because it may be ending shortly. I respect very much the lady's opinion, and is it not true we've had discussions about making changes when we get on the other side of the building to try to address those concerns?
We have, and my understanding is that the author is open to those, and it is why that I am a little concerned about the questions I'm getting in the well right now that seem to not want to make those changes. And I hope that while we're having a little banter here, that there is still very much an intention to perfect this legislation across the hall.
Well, if I may, it's not the form of a question, but yes, there very much is. But I would like the rest of our colleagues to know that there is an argument that the process already in place, in the pretty little book I had up there earlier, requires the judge to do more than just receive one evaluation and then they're obligated to grant a conservatorship. They don't hand these out like candy. It's not like one walks into a probate court and says, I need a guardianship on dad, and they go, sure, how many? You need one on mom too. This is a lengthy, costly, arduous process where the judge has discretion to consider evidence or reject evidence. And in my scenario, the parent, is it not true, also has a right to be represented by counsel and cross-examine themselves and present their own evaluation?
Absolutely. Again, this is an adversary process in front of a judge where there are going to be two sides, but there's got to be an affidavit to start the petition. And right now we only let 3 people start that petition, and that's not subject to the gatekeeping function. That is, you've got to have an affidavit coming in the gate. You can't get in the gate without that affidavit. And right now we only let 3 people do that. We're proposing to let 7 people do that, or 8 people do that. And then again, we've got this additional evaluation process. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I understand the need. I understand that for whatever reason, probate judges are not able to find physicians, psychologists, and clinical social workers to come in. These are difficult situations. But we don't just lower the quality and let anybody come in because we're having a hard time getting our first choice. Sometimes we need our first choice. And I want to go back to this. I'm not opposed to expanding the list. I just want a caveat to make sure that the particular situation at hand in the proposed guardianship or conservatorship, that there is specialized knowledge for the situation at hand. That's it. I think we owe that to our citizens. And as much as I enjoy banter with my friend, and we can take this show on the road, I will yield the well.
Lady, let's have one more question, if you will, that kind of exits the legal community, at least from the person who's posing the question. I want to represent the gentleman from the 168th, Representative Williams, for a question, if you'll take it.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentle lady yield?
Yes.
Is it not true that while I have enjoyed the battle between the two of you, it has been enlightening from 2 very learned attorneys? But is it not also true that I'm worried about who's going to get the bill for all the time we've listened to the 2 of you?
Well, luckily, pro bono. There you go. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Thank you for expressing your opinion, and I appreciate the conversation. It's been very enlightening and very thorough. Thank you to the author and to the Representative Evans as well. Is any objection to the previous question being ordered? At this time, the rules of this House allow the chairman of the committee from which the legislation comes to come speak to the legislation. And so at this time I recognize the chairman of Judiciary, Representative Stan Gunther, to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this did come through my committee. The one thing that
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to limit you to 20 minutes. That's per our rules as well, if you don't
Okay.
mind me limiting you. I hope I don't have any bills in your committee anytime soon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Don't worry, I won't go that long. This is an issue, I think, of moving cases through the court system. These three additions of people that are able to evaluate the mental capacity of persons that come into the probate court, I think that's the whole thing, that's the main thing. These people have the training to do the mental evaluation. And these cases, if they're not handled, just sit there. And so the probate court judges, if they've come to us, they're asking for help in moving cases, and the longer these cases sit, the decline of the individual continues, and the loss of their assets also continues. And so we need to do this. Now, you know, the question of what the judge thinks of the testimony at the hearing, they look at the whole case as all the evidence that comes in, and they make a decision based on that. They can accept what these people that have come in and done the evaluation and what they say about it, or they can reject it. So this idea that the judges are locked in to their testimony, that's not true. So they have an opportunity to decide the case for themselves. I was in this situation many times on different matters where an expert's put up on the stand, and I don't have to accept what they say. I can use my own common sense and my own experience and knowledge to decide how this case is going to go. So that's all I have to say. Unless somebody has a question, I'm happy to answer.
No, I think we've discussed this pretty thoroughly, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your insight. Do you have anything else? I think if not, you don't have any questions.
All right, thank you.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to this previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? For what purpose is Representative Hong rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that House Bill 36 proposes revisions to Title 29 to update the list of authorized providers in guardianship and conservatorship processes, and that there is an evaluation that is done with the initial petition and then another evaluation done that is appointed by the probate judge, providing for a detailed and thorough process regarding guardianship and conservatorship?
I'm sure the lady knows of what she speaks. For what purpose is Representative Clark rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that I really did pay attention to the debate that just happened here on the floor, and I would like to see some of the considerations raised by the gentlelady from District 57, and if we make this bill look similar to what other states that have a similar list look like over in the Senate, that I would love to vote yes on the overall goal and objective of this bill. Is that not true, Mr. Speaker?
I think the lady believes exactly what she speaks, and I think I've heard that will be part of the discussion in the Senate. Have all members voted All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 99, the nays are 70. This bill, having received a requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption of House Bill 74? 74.
House Bill 74 by Representative Powell, the 33rd, and others, to be titled an act to amend Chapter 27 and Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated the Georgia Lottery for Education Act, so as to correct a reference. This bill having referred to the Committee on Regulated Industries. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chairman Alan Powell is recognized to present the bill. Chairman Powell, give the gentleman your attention, please.
Thank you.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and ladies and gentlemen. You know, after all these years, I constantly remind folks when we come back on the second Monday in January, it's either about to repair something that got fouled up the year before or to plow new ground. Well, this is a bill, a very simple bill, that we were repairing something that got fouled up last year. For the members that were here last year, we passed House Bill 353, which was a major overhaul to try to move forward with the COAM industry. And that's those video games for the folks who don't know what we're talking about. Major bill last year. A lot of controversy, but the good thing to report is it's bringing in unprecedented amounts of money to the lottery for pre-K. That is the good news. A lot of the issues have been resolved. Last year, one of the issues that we had that was, I guess, universally supported was the fact we had putting the Lottery Commission COAM division under the Administrative Procedures Act. Very simple proposition, but in the rewriting of the bill, there was a Scribner's error. One sentence put them under it, the next sentence took them out of it. So they're not under it right now. For those of y'all who aren't familiar with the APA, it's a simple proposition that government agencies, that if they're going to pass rules and regulations, they have to advertise them to the public and take public comment and go on from there. The second part of that is, once they've done that, they have to report back to the legislature what the outcome of those hearings were and the rule changes. In this case, being the Lottery COAM Division, it would be reported back to the House Regulated Industries Committee and to the Senate Economic Development Committee, because statutorily those are the committees that are charged with being the lottery oversight. That's quite frankly what it does. It repairs an error from last year's bill. And I would certainly appreciate your favorable consideration. I'll be glad to answer any questions if there are any.
You have a question, Representative Earhart, right up the center of the aisle. Will you yield for a question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for bringing this bill. Is it not true that the updates in HB 74 will provide for a more transparent framework for the Georgia Lottery for Education Act to operate, and that it will not only benefit the public but also the regulated community?
To the gentle lady that has sat in on some of these oversight meetings, you're exactly right. This is about transparency in government, and I would even go further to challenge every member in here. When you see agencies come forth and things that are being done to give agencies power, I would certainly encourage you to remember to put them under APA so that they are transparent when they pass these rules and regulations. Because a lot of y'all know I've been embroiled in several issues over the years, from cannabis licensing to everything else, that there was no transparency, and it's led to a lot of major litigation. So that being said, if there's no more questions.
You have one more question if you'll yield. Representative Washburn to your left has a question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the chairman yield?
Yes, sir.
Is it not true that House Bill 74 improves the administration of the Georgia Lottery for Education Act and consequently ensures the continued funding of excellent programs in Georgia, such as the Hope Scholarship?
You're absolutely correct. Thank you for the question.
The gentleman has no further questions.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would certainly encourage you to pass this bill favorably as we move on toward cleaning up that administration and agency.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for being proactive to make sure it's working like we intended. The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? All members voted. I got you. Take your time. All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 7474, the yeas are 169, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 81?
House Bill 81 by Representative Ballard of the 147th and others, to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 6 and Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to education compacts so as to enter into an interstate compact for school psychologists. This bill having referred to the Committee on Education, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
The lady from Warner Robin, Representative Bethany Ballard, is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have House Bill 81. This is an initiative developed by the Council of State Governments in collaboration with the DoD, the Department of Defense, and the National Association of School Psychologists. This bill enters Georgia into the Interstate Compact of School Psychologists. It will reduce barriers to certification for school psychologists from the member states, and it will ensure that only qualified professionals are authorized to provide services to our children. This aligns with our priorities of school safety and literacy, and it was unanimous in both subcommittee and full committee. So thank you, and I will yield for questions.
You do have a question. Representative Hefner, to your left, has a question. Lady is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Chair Lady, for bringing this bill. I want to reiterate, is it not true that this bill passed unanimously in both committees?
It certainly did. Thank you for pointing that out again.
Do you further yield,
Madam?
I do. Is it also not true that this body most likely agreed to include military personnel and their spouses in this bill language in order to provide much needed financial relief and stability to those who serve our country, recognizing their sacrifices and easing their transition to civilian life?
The gentlelady knows of which she speaks.
Thank you very much. I yield.
Lady has no further questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
The lady has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? Have all members now voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 81, the yeas are 165, the nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, Will you read the caption to House Bill 105?
House Bill 105 by Representative Wade of the 9th and others to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 45-978 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to payment of indemnification for death or disability generally. This bill has been referred to the Committee on Education. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Gentleman Dawsonville, Representative Wade is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Speaker. Colleagues, I'm here to present one of Governor Kemp's priorities, which is the Public School Indemnification Fund benefit increase for our public school teachers. This is just to bring up, thank you, Speaker. If you've got public school teachers in your district, I think that this would be very important for you to hear. We are recommending that we increase, and listen, this is a very somber but very important piece of legislation in my opinion. Back in 2017, this body increased the blue for when a service member, public officer is killed in the line of duty from $100,000 to $150,000, a death benefit. Our public school safety officers deserved it then, and our teachers deserve it now, and this remedies that disparity in the law. We're increasing it from $75,000 to $150,000. The permanent disability benefit remains the same, is also in parity with both public school teachers now and public safety officers. That's what this bill does, and I hope that I have your favorable consideration, and I am happy to answer any questions if need.
Gentleman does have a question if he yields.
I do.
Representative Rice to your left has a question. Representative Carmen Rice is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do for my friend.
Is it not true that House Bill 105 helps family of fallen educators navigate the sudden loss of income, ensuring they can maintain stability and avoid losing their homes during an already devastating time?
The gentlelady knows of what she asks.
Yes, the gentleman has another question if he'll yield.
I'll yield.
Chairman Hitchens to your left has a question.
Gentleman yield.
I do, sir.
Isn't it true in response to the last question that the money is intended to provide financial assistance to the immediate family, but if there's no spouse or no children, there's no payment?
The gentleman is correct. Yes, sir. I'd take one more question if necessary, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman has no further questions.
Thank you very much. I hope we have your favorable consideration, and I yield the well.
Gentlemen, yielded the well. We have a couple of folks who are going to speak in favor. I'm going to recognize Representative Berry first, and I'll remind that we have two speakers in Representative McQueen. You have 30 minutes between the two of you.
I'll take it all.
I don't think you will. We're going to give her some time too. Yes, sir, you take your time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in strong support of HB 105. And first, I want to express my gratitude to the authors of this bill. This is a simple yet profoundly important piece of legislation, one that acknowledges the immense value of teachers and the sacrifices that we make every day. But while I appreciate this bill, I would be remiss if I would ignore the glaring omission within its 2 pages. The silence is deafening, and so I must ask, why? Why must the identification award for teachers be increased in the first place? What has changed in the past year that has finally forced us to acknowledge that teachers are on the front lines? The answer is tragic but clear. The leading cause of death for teachers on the job is gun violence. Gun violence has haunted my generation for as long as I can remember. It has shaped our childhoods, disrupted our education, and now, as an educator, it follows me into the classroom. But the difference now, it's not just my life at stake, it's my students' lives. I have to train my students, children, on what to do if an armed gunman storms into our classroom with the intent to kill. I have to map out every possible scenario in my mind, ask myself, where would I stand? How would I shield them? What can I do within my human limitations to protect my babies? As teachers, we have always known that we are essential, and this bill acknowledges that. We have always known that our profession is hazardous and dangerous. This bill acknowledges that. But what this bill does not do is address the root causes of that danger. And I hope that today is the start of that conversation. Teachers in my district, teachers across the state, are pleading for more than just financial compensation in the wake of another inevitable tragedy. We are demanding action to prevent that tragedy from happening in the first place. We need an assault weapons ban. We need universal background checks. We need comprehensive red flag laws. We need more school counselors and social workers. We need better mental health training. We need increased funding for security measures. We need gun manufacturers to be held liable for the weapons that they sell. We need to stop the illegal guns from flooding our communities. We need to protect our school safety zones. The list goes on, and yet time and time again we choose inaction. So yes, I am very grateful that we are providing financial support to the families of teachers taken too soon. But let me be clear, teachers do not enter this profession hoping for a payout. We enter this profession because we love our students. We enter this profession to teach, to inspire, to nurture, and most of all, we enter this profession hoping to return home to our families at the end of the school day. So, I say to my colleagues, let today be the beginning, not the end. Let us not only recognize the value of teachers, but also hear our voices and hear our demands to bring true school safety to Georgia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
You have a question if you take a question.
I will.
The lady represented pro tem of this House, Jan Jones, right in front of you, is recognized for a question.
Thank you. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Is it not true that the leading causes of death for teachers do not include gun violence? That the leading cause of death was last year was transportation incidents. The other causes are cancer, cardiovascular, and most of the causes of death for Americans, and that actually very few teachers died from gun violence on the job, not including domestic at-home incidents.
Well, we're talking about what has changed in the past year, and I believe, yes, the lady does know what she's talking about, but we do know that teachers are still dying on the job because of gun violence. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Gentlemen, you yield for another question?
I will.
Or do you yield well, or you yielding for a question?
I yield the well.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Representative McQueen is recognized to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise today in strong support of House Bill 105, a measure that doesn't just recognize but affirms the dignity, the worth, and the irreplaceable role of educators across our great state. But let's be clear, teachers are the backbone of our communities. We are the ones who show up every single day to do the work, to inspire, to empower, to uplift. And we do so in the face of challenges, in the face of uncertainty, and all too often in the face of danger. I want to take a moment to recognize the increase in indemnification from $75,000 to $150,000. Now, let's be honest, that is a significant step. And I know teachers across Georgia are feeling, perhaps for the first time in a long time, that their lives are being thought about in a way that they simply haven't before. And that matters. It matters because we remember. We remember how, during the COVID-19 pandemic, teachers weren't deemed essential workers. Even as we kept schools running, even as we supported students, even as we stood in the gap for families. And now, today, this bill sends a message that our lives, our contributions, our sacrifices, they matter. But we must also confront the harsh and uncomfortable truth that this bill lays bare. Because at its core, it is an admission. It is an admission that teachers, yes, teachers, are dying in the line of duty. Let me say that again. Teachers dying at work. Now, for firefighters, for law enforcement officers, this makes sense. It is understood that their professions come with inherent risks. But for educators, the ones who pour knowledge into the minds of our future leaders, the ones who should be focused on algebra, on history, on critical thinking, not active shooter drills, which happens at the beginning of every year, this should not be so. This cannot be so. So I must ask the question, why? Why are teachers in such danger? Why have we reached a point where a bill like this is even necessary? Why do we live in a country where classrooms have become battlefields? Why have we allowed this to happen? And let me be clear, this is not normal. This should never be accepted as normal. And so we must acknowledge that increasing indemnification, while important, is not the answer. It is a response. A response to a system that has failed to protect our educators. A response to school shootings that have become far too common. A response to a reality where teachers who dedicate their lives to building up others now have to worry about losing their own lives in the very spaces meant to foster learning and growth. And let me say this as clearly as I can, the solution is not to arm teachers. They are not law enforcement officers. They are not soldiers, and we should not ask them to be. The answer is not more weapons in classrooms. The answer is ensuring that schools are places of safety, of enrichment, of possibility, not places of fear. I support this bill because it acknowledges what has been ignored for far too long, but acknowledgement is not enough. We must act. We must be bold. We must be unwavering in our commitment to ensuring that no teacher, no student, no staff member ever has to fear for their lives in a place of learning. So let's get to work, not just to compensate for loss, but to prevent it. Because our educators deserve better, our children deserve better, and Georgia deserves better. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
The lady has a question, or she can yield, whatever her desire is.
I'll yield the well.
Ladies yielded the well. Thank you for your comments. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? We now have up to 20 minutes for chairman's time. This bill came from Education Committee. Chairman Irwin is recognized to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, today I rise before you to show my firm support for House Bill 105. This bill is about fairness and doing right by those who dedicate their lives to our children, which I call heroes, daily heroes. It ensures that families of public school personnel who fall in line of duty receive the same level of indemnification as others covered under this same law. For over 2 decades, this fund for public school personnel...
Mr. Chairman, if you'll yield just for a minute.
Yes, sir.
Doorkeeper, will you close that door to the anteroom, please? Thank you very much. Proceed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For over 2 decades, this fund for public school personnel have remained unchanged. While back the Blue Act of 2017 raised the indemnification level for public school officers from $100,000 to $150,000, the amount for public school employees have remained at $75,000, and that's since the creation of the Act in 2001. This bill addresses the disparity and brings the support for educators, families in line with other public servants. The tragic events of Appalachia High School remind us of the risk our educators face. In the wake of this tragedy, we have a responsibility to support the families left behind. The teachers who lost their lives that day were not just educators. I want to remind you they were mentors, protectors, fathers, brothers, mothers, and pillars of their community. Their families should not have to navigate financial hardship on top of their grief. This is not a partisan issue. This is about helping the families impacted by this tragedy and recognizing the essential role for that educators play in our communities and ensure their families receive the same level of support as other public servants. Colleagues, I urge you, support our educators in this bill and send a clear message that we stand with the educators in this state and with their children that they not only protect, that they teach and they work with every single day. So I ask your support on this House Bill 105. Mr. Speaker, I will yield for questions.
The gentleman has no questions.
Then I'll yield the well, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman's yielded the well. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the passage of House Bill 105, the yeas are 168, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions?
Honoring the life and memory of Brandon Beasy Waller. Honoring the life and memory of James Leroy Kendrick, Jr. Recognizing and commending Dr. Tanisha Bibbs. Recognizing and commending Brother Keaton Robinson. Celebrating this year's Valentine's Day weddings, recognizing and commending Dr. Mike Looney, Georgia's 2024 Superintendent of the Year, recognizing and commending Sonia Scipio, recognizing and commending Pat Gilliard Gunn, recognizing February 13, 2025 as Lupus Advocacy Day at the State Capitol, commending the Crisis Recovery Network coordinated by the Southern Regional Education Board, commending Gary Minyard, recipient of the 2024 Pioneers in Education Award, recognizing and commending the Georgia Green Industry Association, and honoring and celebrating the Metro Atlanta chapter of the Savannah State University National Alumni Association on its 65th anniversary. And for other purposes, that completes the reading of the privilege resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privilege resolutions? Hearing none, the resolutions are adopted. Members, we'll move on to afternoon orders. We have a fair amount of afternoon orders, so I'm going to ask you to hold it to as close as you can to 1 minute. I'm going to start with Representative Patty Stinson. Representative Reese, if you'll come, I want to ask you something, if you don't mind, if you'll come up. Representative Stinson, you're recognized for an afternoon order. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll rise, and let's all stand with Representative Stinson and friends in the well.
Wait, I gotta go. Oh. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House of Representatives, today we pause to honor and recognize the life and great legacy of the late Reverend Dr. Hosey Waters of Montezuma, Georgia. His picture is listed on the screen. Reverend Waters was a retired educator. He served as the superintendent for the Macon County school system for many years. Pastor Waters was a graduate and loyal supporter of one of 2 land-grant institutions within the University System of Georgia, the Fort Valley State University. He served as the pastor to the Green Grove Baptist Church of Smithville, Georgia, Mount Pleasant Baptist Church of Forsyth, Georgia, Lebanon Baptist Church of Plains, Georgia, and Magnolia Baptist Church of of Montezuma, Georgia. And I'm going to yield to Representative Al Williams.
Thank you. A great loss to lose someone of the distinction of Dr. Waters. He who had preached some of the most provocative sermons you've ever heard that were greatly researched, and he was just deep, very spiritual, very much in tune to the needs of our children and to Macon County. With that, Mr. Speaker, we yield the well.
Thank you for that remembrance. The lady and the gentleman have yielded the well. Representative Reese, members, if you'll remain standing, I'm sorry, won't make you get up and down. Representative Reese is recognized for a remembrance and a condolence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this last week, the Columbus community lost a young man that was known to many of our community as a bridger, someone who bridged the gap between what some folks would call the streets and politics. His name was Brandon Waller, and we call him Beezy. He was a friend of mine, he was a friend of many, but he was also known by many. You know, sometimes God will grant you the friends that you want, but he will always give you the friends that you need. His leadership was an incognito, demonstrative expression of the cross-section of politics, community, and care for those with the least. His life reminded me of one of the most influential conversationalists in our lifetime, Tupac Shakur, who once said, "I think I'm a natural-born leader. I know how to bow down to authority if it's authority that I respect." To his mother, thank you for sharing your son with us. And just remember, all my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been good, so good. And with every breath that I am able, I will think of the goodness of the Lord. Thank you. I yield the well.
Thank you. Members, you may be seated. Now I want you to listen pretty closely to this next young lady member, Representative Kendricks. Are you going to be by yourself up there? You're going to be by yourself. So we're going to recognize you for a special afternoon order. Representative Kendricks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. I am bringing you the Black History Month moment, and today I want to honor and give flowers to somebody that's still living among us. He didn't ask me to do this, but I believe in giving flowers to people while they're still alive, and that's Representative Al Williams. So did you know this about Representative Al Williams? He was born in Midway in Liberty County to Alexander and Carrie Williams. At 13 years old, he was a door knocker for John F. Kennedy in his community. As a sophomore in high school in 1963, he participated in the March on Washington, and as a senior in 1965, he marched from Selma to Montgomery. He was jailed 17 times during the Civil Rights Movement. He was the first African American since Reconstruction to be elected to the House from Liberty County. He was the first black chair to be chair of the Liberty County Development Authority, and he's been married to his sweetheart, Olivia Williams, for 46 years, and he has 5 sons and a yellow lab named Zeus. He is a much sought-out speaker across the nation, and of course, we all know it's the best day of his life. So thank you. Thank you for marching, Representative Williams, so that I can run.
No, we're not going to invite him for a speech because he'll make one. My friend, brother, and colleague, you are greatly respected all over this state. No matter which side of the aisle you sit on, people love and respect Al Williams. Thank you for your service to mankind. And thank you to Olivia for putting up with you all these years, too, is what I want to. What a good woman she is, no doubt about that. Representative Clark is recognized for an afternoon order. Representative Jasmine Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, today I rise to speak on behalf of the tens of thousands of Georgians, including over 55,000 Georgia students who have a 504 plan. For 50 years, Section 504 of the American Disabilities Act prohibits the discrimination of individuals with disabilities by any entity that receives federal funding. This includes protections that ensure disabled children have access to public education, among many other protections. As a mother and also as a college professor, I know firsthand how important Section 504 of the ADA is for the civil rights of individuals with disabilities. That's why it breaks my heart to learn that the Attorney General of our state has joined in a lawsuit that seeks to repeal Section 504 of the ADA. I rise to implore our Attorney General, who has expressed interest in running to be Georgia's next governor, to please consider the lives that could be negatively impacted by the repeal of Section 504. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Ladies, yield to the will. Representative Bazemore, recognized for an afternoon order.
Somebody's supposed to be.
You have somebody joining you?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just for my colleagues, please, in observation and recognition of Black History Month, please on Tuesday, February 18th, come with your African garb. Oh.
I remember now. Thank you. And that does not mean working garb. That means proper dress. Some of the most beautiful outfits are African outfits. Don't come in your working clothes. Respect the dignity of the house.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you to both of you. Thank you, Representative Williams. You're a stickler about that, as we all should be. Thanks for that reminder. Representative Paris is recognized. There she comes. All right, a pretty cool day, Macon Day. Yes, tell us about Macon Day.
Bibb County delegation, y'all coming down? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All you Maconites.
Yep, Maconites. They're not all gone. I'm here. Okay, so, all right. Guess what, y'all? Macon Day is coming back to the Georgia Freight Depot. It will be on February the 19th, and we're going to have a fish fry. The fish will be fried on site. You need to we've got tickets. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have music. We're going to have a pickleball court there. So any of you all that know how to, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, pickleball, right. You know we have the largest pickleball court in this country, okay? Right. So it's a lot going on. We're going to have a really good time. And Dewey McClain, the day Gwinnett equals Macon Bibb. Thank you all. Mr. Speaker, thank you so much. February 19th, that'll be at the Freight Depot. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Representative Sains, Silcox, and Clifton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Pause just for a minute now. Okay, let's go now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We just wanted to rise and in appreciation of one of our own, Miss Shavonna Parker, who's a committee secretary for both of us. She, out of her own pocket, you should have gotten a heart flag, and the representation of that is her service as a sergeant in the Army. She retired here and now serves us in the legislature, so we appreciate her. And Mr. Speaker, I think she sent one to you directly as well. So thank you, Ms. Parker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Thank you. Fine lady. Chairman Hilton is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As many of you in this chamber know, our family is blessed with a child who happens to have special needs. Because of that, we are deeply impacted by issues that impact the disability community. Recently, Georgia has joined Texas and 16 other states in a lawsuit challenging the Biden administration's recent decisions. Some claim that it'll do away with the 504. Let me be absolutely clear. This is simply not true. Section 504 remains intact. The lawsuit aims to challenge the Biden administration's unilateral decision to expand the definition to include gender dysphoria. This move will strip precious resources away from students who deserve them and need them most, and that is our special needs community. So let me reiterate to our community and families out there, if the lawsuit is successful, resources will go back toward those who deserve it and need it most. If it's not, Section 504 will remain in place. So let me reiterate again to parents, Section 504 is not at risk, and I support Georgia and the other states challenging this decision. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Gentleman yielded to Representative Draper, recognized for an afternoon order.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to thank federal employees, and I'd specifically like to thank the more than 10,000 Georgians who work for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Much of what the CDC does is hard to see. Prevention often is, but we live in a remarkable time for public health. You can swim in a pool without fear of polio, smallpox has been eradicated, deadly E. coli outbreaks in our food can be controlled, and CDC staff help keep Ebola from spreading to the U.S. I thank you for your service. You are heroes, even though you aren't being treated like it right now. Since unelected President Elon Musk took over the White House, he has been hell-bent on dismantling certain government agencies, including the CDC. He has waged war on thousands of hardworking Georgians, causing panic and instability, and because of his indifference and recklessness, public health will suffer, the Georgia employment rate and economy will also suffer. Yesterday, there were calls from this well to work in a spirit of bipartisanship. Challenge accepted. I am asking our governor and our other state leaders to step up and lead, to call out this reckless behavior that does nothing more than carry out an unelected billionaire's vendettas and hurt everyday Georgians. How many of you will join me in calling out these abuses of power? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Representative Edna Jackson is going to talk to us about a pretty devotion event, and Representative Ann Allen Westbrook and
Thank you.
Representative Chairman Ron Stevens, all from the great state of Chatham.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I guess is that I can't keep up with the time, but we are here to attend on Tuesday morning Savannah State University Day, and we always include Representative Al Williams because he's in and out of us, and he does a lot of work with us. It will be held in room 230 here at the Capitol, now starting at 9 o'clock. Let me apologize for announcing this at this time. It is my fault. Also, the menu for that morning will consist of shrimp and grits coming from the hostess city of the South, Savannah, Georgia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, we're looking forward to it, Tom.
I've never known you to forget anything. When you led the great city of Savannah, you're always on top of it, as you are here. That completes afternoon orders. We have a couple of pieces of business we want to attend to. For what purpose does Representative Fry rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that House Bill 402 be moved from regulated industries to energy, utilities, and telecommunications, and both chairmen are in agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Can you read the caption?
House Bill 402 by Representative Fry and others to be entitled an act to amend Title 46 and 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to public utilities and public transportation and state government.
On the gentleman's motion that House Bill 402 be withdrawn from the Regulated Industries Committee and recommitted to the Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. For what purpose does Representative Panich rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that the rules be temporarily suspended so that a bill may be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Mr. Clerk, can you read the caption to this unnumbered bill at this time?
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Panich of the 51st and others to be titled an act to amend Code Section 24.501 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to certain communications privileged.
On the lady's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? We will assign that bill to, if there is no objection, to Judiciary, non-civil. For what purpose does Representative Brad Thomas rise?
Make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that the rules be temporarily suspended so that a bill may be read for the first time and signed to committee.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to this unnumbered bill at this time?
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Thomas, the 21st and others to be entitled an act to amend Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to motor vehicles and traffic.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and signed to committee, is the objection? Hearing none. Motor vehicles. We have some announcements. Chairman Stevens is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before you go home this weekend, the Economic Development and Tourism Committee will meet today, 1 o'clock, Lunch and Learn, room 403, Capitol.
Representative Dewey McLean, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Working Family Caucus will meet in room 307 at CLOB, and today's topic will be key health care priority issues in 2025. So 307 in the CLOB. I know a lot of things are going on today, but look forward to seeing y'all at 307 for the Working Family Caucus. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative McLean. Representative Denia is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, today I am hosting Capital Conversation and Tours for members from my constituents from my district, and you're all invited to come and have a conversation with them. We'll be talking about issues in education, safety, of course, the price of eggs. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Speaker.
You got it. Leader F. Strachan is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Because we're out on President's Day on Monday, there will be no committee chairman's lunch on Monday. Committee chairman's lunch will be on Thursday next week, and we'll get out notice for that. Thank you.
Chairman Hilton is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very important meeting, Education Policy Subcommittee, meeting in room 506 at 1 o'clock. We're going to be taking up the school safety bill. So if everyone can be there sharp and ready to go, 1 o'clock, Policy Subcommittee, 506 CLOB. Thank you.
If you're on that subcommittee, you need to be there. Representative Jasmine Clark, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the Gwinnett delegation, we have a meeting today at 1 o'clock in Mezzanine 2 of the Capitol. The sheriff of Gwinnett County will be there. I hope that you all can attend. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Mr. Rules Chairman, you having a Rules Committee meeting this afternoon? Not quite. Chairman is recognized. Representative Parrish.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just to remind everybody, we're going to be out Monday. We will be having a Rules Committee meeting Tuesday at 11 o'clock. Tuesday at 11 o'clock. Hope to see you there. Thank you.
Tuesday at 11. Now, let's see. We're moving on to a very important announcement now. Representative Ilmati Holly is recognized for an announcement. What are you going to talk about?
Getting old.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleagues, this is the very first time I'm doing this. I'm actually going to be not so much of a politician, and I'm going to ask for you to join me as well. On Sunday, February 16th, I'll turn the ripe age of 49 years old. But I want you all to join me because I'm going to have my very first holiday. You'll get an email. You'll get an email out there. Let me tell you. You'll get an email. I would love for you all, if time would permit, to bring your funny uncles and your funny aunts out here and just loosen up. No suits, no ties, no formal attire, and let's just go have some games and some fun over at your third spot over there off of Ellsworth Boulevard, and let's just be humans. Is that okay? Just be who you were before you got here, and I'll love on you the same. But thank you, Mr. Speaker. The same for you.
Happy birthday, Representative. On Sunday, we're going to wish both of these folks a happy birthday. Guess who else has a birthday? Representative Sheila Jones and Representative Holly on Sunday. Let's wish them both a very happy birthday. Thank you. Well, I think that completes our work for the day. So we're out tomorrow. Is that right, Mr. Leader? So
Sir.
Go home and enjoy your families on Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's to all of you here. And also on Monday is President's Day.
Yes, sir.
So we will come back to here at some time on Tuesday. And that's what you're going to tell us, right?
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 1:00 p.m. on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025.
I'm expecting a good vote on this one now. On the motion of the majority leader, this House stands adjourned until 1 p.m. on Tuesday, February the 18th, 2025. All those in favor, say aye. That's what I'm talking about. All those opposed, no. There's no doubt the ayes have it today. Thank y'all. Y'all be safe and have a good weekend. We'll see you back here on Tuesday. But if you have a committee meeting today, you need to be there. Thank you.